Now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus, but the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." Then Jesus told them this parable. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the estate." So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to the fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him."
From Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 to 16. Now, when he saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven.
Let's pray. Dear God, we thank you so much that you are an amazing God. We thank you that you have given us your word, that we can read it, know it, and understand it. Father, please help us today to be able to take these words in, to be able to let them, the seeds be planted in our hearts, and please let them grow. Father, please help my words be your words. Please take away the distractions in my mind. Help me to focus on you. In your name I pray. Amen. There's a TV show called Big Bang Theory. And in this show, there's a character, his name's Sheldon. Now, Sheldon is on the spectrum. And so part of the comedy of the show is him trying to understand human interactions. And he doesn't quite get it. And so he has this thing in one episode where someone gives him a gift. And she says, "Oh, I've got your Christmas present," and walks away. And he's like, "Well, that's terrible," because of the gift-giving paradigm. You see, when someone gives you a gift, you have to give a gift of equal value or worth. Because if I give something that's too much, I make their gift look silly. But if I don't give something worth enough, then it looks like I'm being stingy. And he goes, because she hasn't given me any parameters, how do I know what type of gift to get her in return? And so he comes up with this brilliant plan. He goes to a shop that sells like candles and soaps and stuff and buys gift baskets. And he buys every gift basket on offer. $25 all the way up to the $250 one. And he says, here's the plan. She's going to give me my gift. I'm going to open it. I'm then going to excuse myself. I'm going to go away and Google the cost of the gift that she got me, give her the appropriate basket, and then just take all the rest back to the store. I was like, brilliant. And he comes in and she gives him the gift and he goes, oh, just by the way, I might need to step out in a second. My tummy's hurting. He opens it and it's a napkin signed by like his idol. And he looks at it and he's just gobsmacked and he's like, I'll be back. And he runs out and he comes back carrying every single gift basket and just throws them all on her and looks at her and goes, it's not enough. Because he looks at the gift he's received and his actions are in response to what he's received. He can't give back because he just looks at this gift and thinks this is so amazing. And I want you to hold on to that principle for now. Think about it. His actions were in response to what he received. When he gave the gift baskets to her, he didn't give in order to get. He gave because he got. He gave out of response to what he'd received. And I want to preface that because that is a perfect foundation for understanding world religions. It doesn't matter if it's Hinduism, Muslim, Jewish, even atheist in terms of relationships that they have. The majority of them, the way that you can achieve and succeed is based on your performance. It's based on your actions. Do this and things will go well. Trek to Mecca, pray in the right direction, fast at the right times of year, and Allah will be pleased. Pay back your karmic debt, do good things, meditate, chant, pray, do good things and give away money, and the powers will be happy with you. Even in terms of just common relationships, if I don't believe there's a God, I believe I'll do good to you, so then now you're kind of indebted to do good to me. Every one of these relations gets back to the concept of do. But Christianity is different. Christianity is not about do, it's about done. Christianity isn't about perform, it's about finished. Our salvation is not based on our good deeds, our actions, our ability, any of that. It's purely based on Jesus. And see, this is why Christianity is not a religion of laws, it's a relationship of love. Pretty much every morning I make the bed. Now, I grew up as a boy, and I would just make my bed by putting my knees on the end of my bed and throwing my quilt, and the quilt would kind of land in the right position, bed made, walk out, right? I then got married, and I realized that you need to not only have the pillow that you sleep on, but you need to have an auxiliary pillow, just in case the pillow that you're sleeping on is not right. But then during the day, you also need to have several other things on the bed, like an extra blanket that you don't need, and extra pillows that all you're going to do is put them on the floor and then put them back on at night. And it seems redundant to me, but I do that every morning. Now, I don't do that because I'm trying to get my wife to be happy with me. I'm doing it because I'm loved. Because she loves me, I do. And so it's not to be loved, it's because I am loved. And that is the relationship we have with Christianity. This is the mindset of all who desire to be a follower of Jesus. A Christian's actions are in response to what they have received. And this is who the Sermon on the Mount is preached to. The Sermon on the Mount needs to be understood not as a list of rules and laws. It's not the guide to having the good and happy life. It's not like an atheist can pick it up, follow it, and think life will go good for me, because it's not. It's a response to receiving the gift of Jesus. The Sermon on the Mount is a description of the lifestyle of believers, of Jesus' followers. Jesus' followers whose actions are in response to what they have received. So if you look in verse 1 and 2, the Sermon on the Mount starts with the masses coming to Jesus and Jesus sitting down and his disciples coming to him, and he began to teach them. The Sermon on the Mount is Jesus teaching his followers. It's Jesus' words to his followers. It's what it looks like to be a Jesus disciple, what it looks like to be someone who follows Jesus. And it starts off with the Beatitudes. Now, Beatitudes is just the Latin word for blessed. And blessed means happy. But I don't know if you understand, like happy, it's now got a whole bunch of baggage that comes with the word. And so it's called, its lexical range has kind of shifted. And so, like, for example, if you give me an ice cream, I'm happy. My ice cream falls in the mud, I'm not happy anymore. That's not what blessed means. So yes, it's this feeling of joy and the right thing, but it's from heaven's perspective. And so blessed is God is looking on you saying, yes, yep, that's it. Awesome, great, stoked. So when we look at the blesseds, it's all from heaven's perspective. So it starts. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Well, to be poor in spirit is the same if I said that you are poor in time. If I said that you are time poor, what does it mean? It means you've got so much to do but not enough time to do it. You don't have enough time. If I said that you are money poor, it means you don't have enough money. So if you are poor in spirit, it means you've recognized your spiritual poverty. You recognized, I need help. I am nothing. I am stuffed. I can't get out of my mess. The person that recognizes that they are spiritually bankrupt, that they have no chance of being at peace with God, what's the promise? Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Heaven's gates are open to you when you recognize your spiritual poverty. Well, what's next? Blessed are those who mourn. The ones who mourn are the ones that have seen their spiritual state. They understand where they're at and they're like, I'm broken, I'm stuffed, and the natural reaction to that is sadness. They are unworthy because of their sin, the debt, and the brokenness that they possess. And that breaks their heart. When you look at the depth of your sin and depravity, it makes you want to mourn. But what's the beauty? They will be comforted. Why? Because they will see the nature of God as what he is. He is the judge, yes, but he's the loving Father. Now, the reason we read the parable of the prodigal son is because it ties in with this. The son recognized his poverty. And he came home to his father and was like, he's going to give me a beating. I'm just going to ask to become a servant. But he was comforted because of the father's attitude. So when you read this, you can think of that prodigal son. Blessed are the meek. Now, a lot of people say meekness is weakness, but it's not. Meekness does not mean weak. Meek means humble and gentle. It means that I am able to see and accept the reality of my situation. If someone says to me, hey, Chris, you're overweight, humility is like, I know. I'm accepting reality. Someone who is humble is willing to be hurt rather than to inflict pain on the other. I'm willing to absorb the pain that someone lashes on me rather than lashing back. Now, if I said to you, there's a humble guy in the workplace, which means that he's humble, he's meek, he's gentle, he doesn't lash back, is that person going to get anywhere in this world? No. They're going to get overseen for every promotion. They're going to get used by every person in the workplace. They are done. But Jesus said that person is blessed with the mindset of recognizing that I in my poverty, I need help and it has to come from God. If you are meek, you will inherit the earth. You won't be the trodden on one. You won't be the oppressed, the downtrodden. Later on in the Sermon on the Mount, it says, seek God first, and all these things will be given to you in abundance. That posture of God is my king, and I submit to God, all these things will be given to you in abundance. So blessed are the meek, for they'll inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, the ones that recognize I am impoverished, I am starving, I need God, I need more and more of God, I just got to get more of God in me, and they hunger and they thirst and they chase for more of God. Blessed are they because they are going to be filled. They want more God, and God's like, I will give you all you need. The son, when he came home, he said, just make me a servant. The dad's like, nah, here's a ring, here's a robe, let's throw a feast. I'm going to kill the fattened calf. And the older brother was like, what? Didn't even do that for me. God will give. If we hunger and thirst, he provides. Now, I've got a quote from Martin Lloyd-Jones. Of course, I don't have it on me. But it talks about the need for this hunger and thirsting, and that God will give what we need. Blessed are the merciful. Now, mercy is not getting what you deserve. So if you come and throw a ball and it breaks a window in my car, and I am merciful, I'm saying that I'm not going to make you pay for that. I'm being merciful in that moment. I'm not giving you as you deserve. So the Bible, Jesus here says, blessed are the merciful. The ones who do not repay. The ones who do not. And why would a merciful person, well, you think about it, they were impoverished, they recognized their state, they've now been filled by God. Well, if God's in me, God's attributes will come out of me. If God has freely given to me and got me out of my spiritually poor state, why would I not forgive you? Why would I not give to you? Why would I not be merciful? Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Now, it's not that I need to be merciful to earn God's mercy. It's when you forgive someone, when you are being merciful in that moment, you actually see more of God. And you recognize the depth of the mercy you have received. Blessed are the pure in heart. Pure in the sense of not diluted, not mixed with. So pure in heart means my heart is devoted to one thing. If I'm pure in heart, I'm single-minded to seek God and His kingdom and His righteousness. I seek glory for God alone. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. It's that whole one-track mind thing. I don't know if you ever had that person that's like, so obsessed with something, and like you're like, oh yeah, I went and played soccer the other day and I kicked a ball. Like, oh, balls, have you ever watched tennis? Tennis is great. And every comment you make just takes them back to that topic. I was watching Beauty and the Beast a little while ago. I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a good gospel message. We are the beast. Jesus comes and changes us into this beautiful thing. It's like, oh, it's a beautiful gospel message. I can't help but see Jesus in Disney. I watched K-pop Demon Hunters. And I was like, oh, there's a gospel message in there too. Because the more and more that you become single-minded for God, the more and more you see God. And blessed are the peacemakers. Now, peacemakers doesn't mean that person that goes and qualms arguments. It's not that person that makes everything chill and relax and everyone just calm down. That's not a peacemaker. This is talking about bringing peace to someone's heart. This is about reconciliation between God and man. Jesus later on says, I did not come to bring peace. I came to bring the sword. I came to turn father against son, mother against daughter, families against each other. So the peace is not this calmness and everyone's just being chill with each other. The peace is this gospel being spread to the lost and bringing peace to the rebellious heart that's rebellious against God. This is bringing peace and comfort to that person who is broken and struggling and straining. Peacemakers are the ones that bring the gospel into the world. Why will they be blessed? Because they will be called children of God. When people watch a peacemaker work, they're thinking, yep, that's one of God's kids. I can see by the way he talks and the way he walks, he's one of God's kids. And then finally, blessed are if you are persecuted because of righteousness. If people hate you because you love Jesus. Now, throughout my life, I've had people dislike me at many moments. And many of those moments is not because I'm a Christian, it's because I'm a jerk. And that's just an honest truth. But see, Jesus says, if people hate you, that's not a good thing. But if they hate you because you reflect me so much, you are blessed. You're doing the right thing. You are on God's team, and therefore everyone hates you. You know that moment when I don't know if you've ever gone to a sports game and you're the away team and you're wearing your jersey with pride and your team wins? I did it down at St. George because that's a safe bet as a Sharks fan. We know we're going to win that one. And I remember walking through the stadium and people just booing me and throwing cups at me. And I'm like, throw it. Scoreboard says something different. Throw your stuff. Bring it on. Do you see, they're booing me, not because I'm a Christian, not because I live somewhere. They're booing me because I'm on the other team. If the world who loves Satan is booing you, blessed are you. But here's a cool little thing. What's the blessing that comes to those who are being persecuted because of righteousness? Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Heaven's gates are open. Heaven is their home. It's where they belong. But that's repetitious, isn't it? The very first one, blessed are the poor in spirit, the one who recognizes my spiritual poverty. They are blessed because theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the persecuted for righteousness, because theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Interestingly, that's the only one. 1 and 8 are the only ones that have the definitive, is. All the other Beatitudes are will be. So it doesn't matter if you are at the starting line or at the finish line. It doesn't matter if you are the sinner on the cross next to Jesus, or if you are Stephen being stoned for his righteousness. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Heaven's gates are open. How beautiful is that reassurance? It's all because of Jesus. So, it carries on and it says in verse 11 and 12, Jesus continues talking about being persecuted for righteousness. Blessed are you when you are hated for being my disciple. Blessed are you when the world despises you because of me. Why? Because they hated all the other ones who loved Jesus. When the wicked are mad at you, you're probably doing the right thing. When the disciples were flogged for preaching out Jesus, they walked away rejoicing because they were worthy of wearing the stripes. They're like, yes, we're doing the right thing. So when you are persecuted for righteousness, that's good. That's a good thing. But too often we avoid that. Too often we do not want to bring up that uncomfortable conversation because I don't want to offend people at work. Too often we don't want to say those words because it could make people not like me as much. Too often we try to hide that gospel truth because we don't want to be persecuted. So here's the thing, this is the encouragement. If you are that person that's like, yeah, I actually don't have a lot of friends at work because I talk about Jesus, you're blessed. That is the reward. Colin Buchanan has a song, Invisible Believer. We sang it at VBC, so it's been ringing through my head over and over again. I don't know if you remember kids' camps, when a song gets played and then for the next month, it's just ringing in your head over and over and over. Yeah, I'm in that mode right now. And so even it's sad because you start doing the actions, like you're in the shop, you're like, not doing that. But there is no such thing as an invisible believer. What's in your heart has to be on show. There's no invisible followers of Jesus. It's what you do, not just what you know. If you know it, show it. And they will see it. And the whole song is saying that if you are a follower of Jesus, they are going to see it. They're going to know you are different. Something is up with you. You don't respond the way the world responds. You live God's way against the world and you're going to stand out. People will see it, people will hear it, and they will know that you are a follower of Jesus. You're his disciple. So how should we be in that sense? Well, Jesus gives us two examples. He says, be salt and be light. Now, there's a trend that went around a little while ago where people were wearing these shirts saying, be salty and lit. No, don't. Be salt and light, okay? Salt. Well, what is salt? Well, back then, salt wasn't quite like the table salt we have today. Salt we have is refined. And so they get the salt and they remove all the impurities, things like added magnesiums and other chemicals are in it, which means you can actually get salt that's really not salty. Like you sprinkle it on, you're sprinkling the white stuff on your chips and it's got no real flavor. And so Jesus is talking about pure salt. That's why he says, what happens when a salt loses its saltiness? That means the chemical compound, NaCl, is gone, and what's left over is just the leftover stuff. All the good stuff's gone. What's it good for? Nothing. You can't use it. Salt is needed, and they used to use salt in the world for two main things: a preservative and a flavor enhancer. So you would add salt to your meat. You'd rub salt into the meat, and it would prevent the meat from decaying, from breaking down. It prevents the cells in the meat from rotting and therefore deteriorating and breaking and tearing apart. The meat would rot, and so you'd rub the salt in to prevent that. So salt is a preservative. But salt's a flavor enhancer. Put a little bit of sprinkling of salt in something, it makes it taste a bit better. And so salt makes things taste better, and it prevents decay. We need to be salt in this world. Which means God looks at communities and he grabs a dash of Christians and sprinkles them in. Why? Because we are preservatives. We prevent heavenly decay. When God's disciples go into a community, they prevent the worldly breakdown that's going to come. They prevent decay because they shine God in there. But second up, they're enhancer. Christians are meant to get into places and make them better. Years ago, I had 2 soccer teams I organised, the Div 1 and Div 2. And the Div 1 team was our team that was going to win the comp. Now, we had a couple of guys in the church in there, but a couple of their mates who were like rep players and stuff. And so we had a gun team. But everyone wanted to play in the reserve grade team. Now, the reserve grade team was getting smashed, like 4-0, 3-0. I know it doesn't sound like a smashing, but for me that was. But everyone wanted to play in that team. Before the game, the guys would sit together and start doing their laces up, and they would like sing. But they were singing like kids' songs, because a lot of them were like youth group workers and Sunday school workers. And then like during the game, they were laughing at each other, they were encouraging each other, they would build each other up. End of the game, they would shake hands, but then they would form a huddle and they would pray. And people were like, I want to be part of that team. The other team went and won 5-0, but I don't want to be part of that because they're yelling at each other and they're horrible to each other. I want to be part of that community. Do you see? The Christians went into that team and made the team better. That's what we look for as Christians. God sprinkles Christians into communities like salt to preserve and to enhance. But he says that we also need to be light. So back then, remember, they didn't have electricity, so we're talking hardcore camping, not sleeping in a bus. And so they were like literally lamps and candles. It gets dark, you light a lamp or a candle, or you just shut your eyes and live in the dark. And so what was the purpose of the light? Well, first up, it illuminates, and second up, it comforts. Light illuminates so you can see the truth, so you can reveal what's really there. You've had this moment when, I don't know, if you're out in the dark somewhere, you're walking along, you hear a noise in the bushes, and you turn on the torch and work out it's not actually a monster, it's just a stick, right? The truth is revealed. Or if you're cooking, when you're camping and you're cooking chicken, I hate cooking chicken, because you're like, I don't know if that's pink or white. And so you've got to shine the light on there to make sure that you don't have them like medium rare chicken. But see, the light reveals the truth. That's the purpose of light. But light also comforts. If you're in the darkness and you're lost, and you're looking around, and then all of a sudden you see the light of the campfire or something, you see the light of the building, you're like, oh, yay, and you know where to go. It comforts you. And even little kids, and like, you turn on the light. Why? Because light brings comfort. Christians need to be light in this world. God places Christian candles in communities. Why? To illuminate. It's the Christian's job to reveal the truth. It's Christian's job to reveal what God has ordained as right. But it's also to comfort. It's Christian's job to draw people from the darkness, the poor and the lost. Back in those days, if you were walking to a town and it got dark, all you do is you look along the hills and you find the big glowy place, because the glowy place is the city, and that's where I need to get to. That's the town that I need to be at. And that's why God puts Christians in places, because there are people in this world who are stumbling in darkness. There are people who are lost. I'm teaching over at the school, and there are kids in that school that are so lost. And God has put me in there that I might be a light. My mum went to the skate park the other day up in Queensland, and there's a bunch of kids just swearing and being stupid. And then one of them came over and helped my nephew with his bike. And my mum talked with his kid for like 40 minutes at a skate park. And this kid was just drawn to my mum because this kid had no hope. This kid saw my mum and saw love and compassion and was like, you're different. That's why God sprinkles Christians. That's why we're called to be light. Jesus' followers are going to be salt and light because they recognized their poverty, they mourned over who they were, they are meek and recognize their position, they hunger and thirst for God, they are merciful, they are pure in heart, they are peacemakers, and they are persecuted. That's the reason why we are salt and light. But this is only possible when we see it through the lens of Jesus, the gift that we have received. You see, God saw our impoverished state, and he didn't leave us there. God saw how much we mourn over the brokenness that we have, and he didn't leave us there. Jesus stepped into the darkness as God's true light. Jesus stepped in and paid our debt with his blood. Jesus went to the cross and died so that in our impoverished state, in our mourning, in our meekness, God might now be on offer. And we can now be filled with God. We can become merciful, recognizing the mercy that was shown to us. We can become the peacemakers because the gospel in us just makes us want to get out there and share it more and more, because if God died for me, oh man, imagine what he could do for you. Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am the worst. but man, you should see what he did in me. That's the reason why we are blessed. A follower of Jesus' response to what they received is realizing the unworthiness, the poverty, and the brokenness of who I am. When you recognize the gift of Jesus, you realize the depth that you actually felt to. A follower of Jesus will realize who God is, his love, and what he has actually given. And the response to what we've received is a desire for more of God, to see him more and more, to reflect him more and more, to share this good news through our actions by preserving and enhancing places, but also through our words by illuminating and comforting, by being salt and light. And this is why followers of Jesus' response to the gift that they have received will be rejoicing when we are hated by this world, but bringing peace to the lost. This is the opening to the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus' followers are salt, are light, and are blessed. And that's seen in their actions, which are in response to the gift that they have received. So see who you are through the lens of Jesus' gift. Let your life, in response, declare the glory of what you have received in all that you say and do in your actions. Let me pray. Gracious God, we thank you so much that you gave us Jesus. We thank you that in our impoverished state, in our spiritual poverty, you saw us in the depths and the darkness and the sin that we are in, and you came in human form. You held us, you saved us. And Lord, you fill us with you more and more. You enable us to see you in our daily interactions and the promise of knowing that our home is with you. That's where we belong. Please, Father, let the Sermon on the Mount keep pointing us back to who we are in our relationship of love with you. Father, we pray this in your holy name. Amen.